If you spend 8 ringgit for coffee every day, 1 ringgit 40 cents for unused subscriptions, 2 ringgit on excessive mobile plans, 5 ringgit on tolls, 3 ringgit on roadside snacks, and say 8 ringgit on food delivery, then that's the same as spending 10,000 ringgit every single year. For a lot of people, their money disappears as soon as they get paid, and I'm no stranger to that as well. When I got my first salary over 6 years ago, seeing that amount of money in my account was amazing. But within weeks, I was almost down to zero, and that happened for many months. If I know then what I know now, I probably could have doubled or even tripled my wealth, and that's why I'm making this video to give you a head start on managing your money as a fresh grad. If you're wondering, I graduated with a mechanical engineering degree and started with a gross salary of 3,000 ringgit, and after all the statutory deductions like EPF, which is our retirement fund, SOCSO, Social Security, employment insurance and income tax, I'm left with a net salary of 2,649 ringgit and 35 cents. But before you even go into the numbers, I mean, come on, it's your first salary. Treat yourself with a little reward. For starters, I recommend you buy a milestone purchase, be it an item or experience, so that you have something for you to look back on later. It doesn't need to be something pricey, could be a nice dinner with your family or something for yourself like an inexpensive watch like a 300-400 ringgit Timex or Casio. Mine was a fossil watch with leather strap, about 500 ringgit back then, which I absolutely adored, and it made me feel like a proper grown-up. Good times. Some families also have this tradition of giving a portion of their first salary to their parents as a sign of appreciation. That's entirely up to you. But if you want more ideas, here are some that I've gathered from our community. And please comment down below what you got for your first salary. That would be so cool to know. Anyways, if you want to kickstart your wealth building journey right away, because that's why I'm here, yet, no problem. Buy either one of these books or both from Shopee or Popular. Psychology of Money from Morgan Housel or Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I'm not gonna dive into too much into it because there's tons of summaries online, but it's basically your gateway to understanding the fundamentals of money and economy, and a good foundation is all you need to build on top of your wealth. Now, time for the real finance. For every successful companies or billionaires out there, there is one thing in common: they manage their finances well, and it all boils down to something so simple yet so powerful that we call budgeting.
Got Sergio Ramos gets it 3 against 2. Ronaldinho into the area. Ronaldinho! 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 What?
Take Ronaldinho for example, former Brazilian football legend, winner of 2 FIFA World Cup and also 1 Ballon d'Or award, making more than 18 million US dollar a year at the peak of his career, and was estimated with a net worth of over 90 million US dollar around 2015. But fast forward 8 years later in 2023, a combination of poor financial decisions and legal issues bankrupted him, leaving him with just 5 euros in his bank account. Seriously, without proper budgeting, you are at risk of losing everything. There's this popular 50-30-20 budget rule that splits your monthly spending into 3 main categories: 50% on your needs, 30% on your wants, and the other 20% on savings and investments. In case you are not aware yet, this 20% portion is derived from the popular Pareto principle, which says that 80% of the consequences come from just 20% of causes, like how the T20 high-income earners in Malaysia contributed 85% of personal income tax collected in 2022. Yep, that's my point. So let's start with the 20% savings and investments portion. Pay yourself first. Anytime you get your salary, set an auto debit or standing instruction to transfer this portion out to your account. Prioritize your future as opposed to your needs and wants right now. Your future self will thank you. So, assuming your first take-home pay today is roughly similar to my net salary in 2018, about 2,600 ringgit, that will mean you need to allocate about 520 ringgit for this section. So, this is where you want to save for your emergency fund. How much? Some say at least 3 months worth of expenses, some say 6 months, Personally, I say 3 months is a good starting point for the first year of your career. And according to EPS research in 2023, the cost of living for a single individual using public transport goes around 1,930 ringgit. But of course, this number varies according to location and your standard of living. So let's use a rough number of say 2,000 ringgit for your monthly expenses. So that will give you a target of 6,000 ringgit emergency fund. And at the rate of saving at least 20% or 520 ringgit a month, that will take you close to 12 months to fill that fund up. Some of you might take longer, and that's totally fine because over time your salary will grow, so will your expenses lah. Just adjust that as time progresses. Don't need to be super creative with this, just park this with any savings account like Maybank or CIMB. Keep it liquid. Keyword liquid. It's there to let you withdraw anytime you need it in a pinch. Alternative to them would be say a high interest savings account that comes with conditional rates, or even digital banks with higher interest rates. You can check out this video for more options. And once your emergency fund is filled up, it's time to take a little bit more risk for high reward, because purely saving won't make you rich, but accumulating assets through investing will. So, shift part of your savings to investments. Half of this, or 10%, can go to assets like money market funds to keep up with inflation. It's rather similar to a fixed deposit, regulated in Malaysia, and can give you around 4 to 5% annualized interest income, but without the capital guarantee from PIDM in the case of bankruptcy. I have an entire video covering it, so please feel free to check it out over here. Now, for the other 10%, invest in yourself. Many people will just brush this section off, but trust me when I say this, for your 20s, even up to your 30s, this category will give you the highest return on investment in your life. Get a gym membership. A simple one in most neighborhoods would cost roughly 150 ringgit a month, or if you or your friend stays in a condo with a gym, then even better. Good health means lower medical bills. Studies have also shown that exercising improves job self-efficacy, which in turn positively impacts job performance. And after more than 2 years of lifting weights myself, I can personally vouch for this. Next, subscribe to YouTube Premium. 42 ringgit a month for 6 users, or just 7 ringgit each. Why? Ad-free experience. It saves you time and helps build a habit of learning. As James Clear says in Atomic Habits, another book you can consider getting, prime your environment to make actions easier. Treat YouTube as a free university. Listen to podcasts such as my favorite School of Greatness by Lewis Howes, and also Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett. If you spend around an hour each day on this free educational content, that's 365 hours of knowledge a year. Exactly how I built this channel from scratch. Now, let's shift our focus to the largest portion of the pie that helps you to survive: your needs. Everyone's situation is different, and so the numbers are going to vary a lot here depending on where you stay and also the quality of life you are aiming for. So feel free to check out this website for your area and lifestyle. Links below. But for most, the biggest expenses here are usually the same few culprits: accommodation, transport, and food. If you are lucky enough to stay close to your workplace, good for you. But for the rest of us, like myself, coming from Klang, which takes at least 1 hour drive to KL city centre without jams, rent a place close to your workplace. Ideally, a location that you can take advantage of public transportation like LRT or MRT. Super cheap with their 50 ringgit monthly unlimited travel pass. And if there's a choice, don't spend more than an hour commuting to work each day, as your time and energy in your youth is best used at upskilling and working. I started with a small room in a shared condo in Cheras, 600 ringgit a month before utilities, but city centre and only a 10 minutes walk away from Maluri station. Then 2 years later, I upgraded to a slightly bigger middle room at 750 ringgit a month, still a shared condo at the same place. Not until my 4th year that I can finally afford an entire unit to myself. There are still plenty of sub 1,000 ringgit a month rental rooms in Klang Valley on say iProperty or iBilik. even today. You just have to find it. If public transportation is not a choice, then of course, go for a car. A common thumb rule for the car purchase: the price of your car should not exceed your gross annual salary. If your monthly salary is say 3,000 ringgit gross or 36,000 ringgit annually, then you should get a car roughly or below that amount, like a new Proton Saga or maybe even a second-hand Myvi. They will set you back about 600 ringgit a month for a 5 years loan. But just be careful of the interest rates of a car loan. A bank quoting you say 3% on the paper is on a nominal basis, but effectively it could be around 6% effective interest rate because car loans charge you based on total loan amount instead of the outstanding amount. Read it out online. Very important knowledge. Moving on, the second biggest portion, which is the deal breaker that can make or break anyone's bank account, is the want section. This is what you spend beyond the essentials. Less here, of course, means a healthier bank account, but some lifestyle inflation is totally okay. Just keep it moderate. If your income grows 20% a year, limit that inflation to less than half of it. While 30% or about 800 ringgit a month isn't much, it still, of course, can get you some weekend outings or some simple online shopping. But instead of spending the entire 30% of your monthly income on wants, you can of course save a portion of it in a separate account that we call it the sinking fund. Basically, it's a fancy name for an account or money market fund that is meant to be spent for future big items like for travel tickets, home renovation, wedding, car upgrades, etc, etc. You know what I mean. It's your money, your choice. I personally like to spread these wants expenses over the year so that I can keep my dopamine at a good level, which is usually the culprit for impulse purchases. So here's the overall look of budgeting. You can also DIY with an Excel spreadsheet. It's really simple. Of course, as you can see here, there are certain things that you need to let go or at least wait until later to afford them. But I know saving a few hundred monthly with a 4 to 5% annual raise in your junior years won't make you rich, especially with inflation at 2 to 4%. So here are 5 ways to boost your income. Firstly, job promotion, which can bring around 10 to 20% bump in your salary. It does take time though, like at least 2 to 3 years of employment, so don't rush into it. Focus on upskilling, problem solving, and positioning yourself at the right place for that to happen. If promotion is really out of reach, which I totally understand, especially in big corporations, then consider discussing a raise after a big project. You would have a higher chance of getting what you want by then. But if that's still not within your reach, then fret not. Job platforms like LinkedIn, Hiredly, and JobStreet makes job switching easier. Many people see a 20% bump in salary with a new role. Well, obviously, it also depends on the season and also urgency of the job vacancy. Just avoid hopping too frequently to maintain a strong resume. Thirdly, side hustle. Calculate your hourly rate like 3,000 ringgit a month gross salary divided by 9 hours of work a day, 20 working days a month. You will get about 17 ringgit an hour. Side hustles can range from anything to anywhere, but ideally get one that would have some sort of synergy to your current work or even future career path. Even if it's not, don't worry, those extra capital can give you more room to wiggle in your budget. And the next one might come as a surprise to you. Research has shown that getting a supportive partner can positively impact your productivity, which will lead to better finances. Personally, I can attest to that. My career and even my business have been nothing but full of ups and downs, and the only constant I had throughout them is none other than my wife, which stuck by and rooted for me, even when I had nothing. But if I were to put a reason to it, I suppose it's a sense of responsibility that drives us wanting to do more. So get a supportive partner. The fifth and possibly the slowest for you to see its result is to build your investing knowledge. Yes, you have only so much capital to invest, if any, but don't let that stop you because as they say, sikit-sikit lama-lama jadi bukit. Not the amount, but your knowledge of investing in assets and spending less on liabilities is what's going to propel your net worth over time. And putting those aside, there are actually a few more things you should ideally aim for in the near future, preferably within the next 12 months. Firstly, get a credit card. Something like a UOB One card or the Maybank 2 card will work for a start. They will teach you and help with your cash flow, yield additional cashbacks and points, and most importantly, build your credit score. These will be important to help you secure a car loan and eventually a house loan. And as an added bonus, many actually don't know that a good credit history is a key factor in helping you secure a loan with lower interest rate, meaning more money saved. And 2, get a medical card, specifically one that pays for your hospitalization. I started mine a bit later at 27 years old, but you'll be fine with a bare minimum one, like a 1 million ringgit annual limit, which should cost you around 200 ringgit a month in your 20s. Insurance is a leverage to minimize your downside risk, but you don't need anything too fancy. And pro tip, don't even bother with savings or investment-linked insurance. They are not worth it. Thirdly, read about tax reliefs. It's basically an easy way to reduce your overall tax payable when it comes to tax season in Malaysia, which falls on March and April every year. I have a full video on that every year, so do check that out. You will save quite a bit of money from that. Alright, that should wrap up most of the basics you need to get started as a freshie in the employment world. Let me know in the comments down below if this video helped, and if you have any tips you want to leave for the young people out there, please feel free as well. Until then, I've also compiled a list of 10 money and life tips I wish someone told me in my 20s over in this video. See you over there.